Okay, greetings to you. All right, just one moment. All right, folks, I'm here on a voice channel with an individual uh, by the name of Lucy Starfire. This individual says that he or she cannot speak, some type of speech impediment. So the person is going to be typing in their his or her responses. Okay, first things first. Uh, do you have anything to say on the topic I have initially? Does homophobia really exist? All right, greetings, Jackolak.
Greetings. Greetings.
Okay,
What are you guys about?
well, so what's your thoughts on the topic name of the channel?
Yo, Tyree. Yo. Yo, Tyree. What's up, man? Oh, God. Yeah, does homophobia really exist? It's on your definition. Just like there is racism. Just like there is racism in this world, where there are what's your negative attitudes towards negative preconceptions of certain races, homophobia can, applying that same idea of the existence of racism, homophobia has to exist too, because it is a negative preconception of gay people. So are there people who hate gays because they're gay? They're gay? Yes. Yes, an arbitrary statement like that. Yeah. But what? There are definitely people who hate gays because they're gay. Not the hater, but I'm saying the reason for the hate is because the person they're hating is gay. Yes, and that this homophobia can avenge this prejudice, this negative attitude towards gay people can eventually turn into discrimination, which is actively denying opportunities towards these specific groups of people just because they are this superficial trait or whatever.
Okay,
And it's true for. But we're talking about homophobia, so let's keep it to that.
okay, so the
But
term
that's just a general principle. General. Yeah.
so the term phobia. Why is the term phobia selected to attach to this? I guess what you're referring to as hate.
Yeah, it's the irrational. The etymology of the word phobia would suggest irrational fear of something. Homo means attraction to, like, same, same, something same. Homophobia is the irrational fear of some of people who are attracted to something same. That can include that's gay people. Let's say that.
Yeah, it just doesn't follow though that everyone who hates gay is fearful of gays. That just doesn't follow.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make. If just because you have because hate is what strong dislike. So why is it necessarily a phobia? Why is phobia attached to exclusively to strong dislike?
Uh, the way I see it is that a fear, an irrational fear of gay people can be something trivial, right? It can be something trivial. You keep your distance from them and you do X actions, right? That's normal. That's normal. Irrational fear. However, this irrational fear of something can, from my perspective at least, can become something more harmful. Can become something more harmful.
What is your definition of fear?
Fear. Yeah. Fear. My definition of fear has to be. I don't really have a definition for fear.
Yeah, because right in that word homophobia, phobia is it's etymology of it means fear. Like you said, it's fear of people who of homosexuals. But you're saying that there's a rational fear, there's an irrational fear. What does fear even mean? Um, I'm not sure. I don't think
I just
applied.
Okay.
I think what I mean by fear in this context is more of the unpleasant emotion of a perceived threat, danger, or something perceived. I don't know, perceived danger, I'd say.
Hey,
Yeah.
pardon the interruption, but before you guys go on, the individual with the profile cute channel has informed me that he or she cannot speak. So if you guys can obviously take notice of the chat, that's the only way that person's going to interact in this discussion. Go ahead.
Okay. I see, I see. What is your definition of homophobia? Because fear of home. Of what patch feeling of like yes. So I just define it as more of an yeah, hate was maybe a misleading word. I my one definition of homophobia would be the irrational fear of gay people.
Okay, but besides a person that could be a predator or a molester, what is there really to fear about homosexuals or homosexuality?
I do. Well, no,
it's irrational. I actually do. That's what I said. Fear. It's not based on reason.
But what is there really to fear?
There's lots of things to fear. Not to say that I fear these things, but I've heard people make arguments like, if everyone becomes homosexual or if homosexuals take over, then the reproduction of men, humankind might stop. That might be considered irrational just because it's not that it's impossible, but just statistically it's unlikely, right?
So the fear that we all are going to be born homosexuals? Is that it?
No, 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 no. No, that humankind, because it takes a man and a woman to reproduce, right? That generally speaking. So if men and women were to just all become homosexuals, then ideally there's no more reproduction.
But the thing is, what's the evidence that we can all just become that? Because I believe that once you're heterosexual, that's what you are. There's no changing that.
If there is no evidence, then it's an irrational fear, which is case in point. That was my point.
Yeah, there's no evidence of people. Once you're heterosexual, you're heterosexual. But you have people out there that believe that they can just, out of the blue, just turn homosexual.
would you consider that an irrational fear then?
I don't know because me personally, I would have to have some type of evidence to
If there's
to
no evidence
to take
and
that
you believe
position.
it, does that make it irrational?
Say again?
If there is no evidence and you believe it, does that make it irrational?
I don't know because then I got to ask a question. Why would I believe it?
Because it's something you don't want. What do you mean?
But
Like,
where
you
does the
believe
belief come from? There's got to be something to cause the belief.
It could just be misled reasoning. People think a lot of untrue
Misled
things
reasoning
all the
from
time.
what?
From their mind. People reason from their mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure because it's just very abstract. So I'm not sure about that.
Do you think every thought or line of reasoning is rational?
I don't know. Unless you are an immature mind, I can see that. But I'm not talking about immature people. I'm talking about people that are mature and do think rationally like adults.
And slow and very
We're not talking about children.
Slow-brained.
Adults,
mature but slow-brained.
Irrationally all the time. I'm not even.
Is that what you are? Is that what you are? Are you mature and slow-brained?
Too many people are talking at once. Who's got the question?
It wasn't a question, but I was just responding to what you said about mature people versus immature people. I said there are mature people who have irrational thoughts all the time. It's actually funny.
Well, let me get give me an example. Give me an example so I can get a better idea what you're talking about.
Me, I'm an example.
Yeah, I mean, so like my mom is a counselor, right? People come into her with irrational fears all the time. Fears that 20
you're an example,
men are going to run in their house in the middle of the day and kidnap them. That's an irrational fear. There's no reason to believe that will happen.
You're saying the person has an irrational fear about being kidnapped? So that's like another type of phobia, is that right?
By 20 masked men.
So that's an irrational type phobia, is that right?
Yeah, that would be an irrational fear.
Okay, so by that example, it sounds like the person is something mentally off there, which is what I'm not talking about.
No. Like in terms of diagnosis, the person's not diagnosed. There's no type of like inherited problems. Like they're not born disabled. They don't have Down syndrome or anything like that. Outside of this rational fear, actually, they're perfectly functioning individuals in society.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're crazy. I'm just saying there's something mentally off there. If you're just thinking, multiple people are going to kidnap me, and I have this fear every day. There's something that's causing it. It's not just coming out of nowhere. Is my point.
Personal experience, maybe, and that's why they have this fear of people. That's why they have
basically, like you just said about a fear. This is people
typically do not have a past
experience. Like people like what you just said that has a fear or a past experience. That I can expect that kind of a fear of homosexuals because they may think that person's a predator. That's the point I made earlier, or a molester.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm talking about. And I agree with you at least in that regard. But many people with irrational fears, the reason it's called irrational is because there's no good evidence to believe in that thing being fearful or in fearing the thing, right?
Okay.
For example, people who watch movies that are clearly the product of a creative mind, like Hollywood monster movies, and then they see that and then they think that thing might happen to them, right? The same thing in the movie might happen to them. So there's a reason that they have to believe from the movie, but it's irrational in the sense that it's just highly unlikely and maybe even impossible. That's why it's irrational.
So the fear must be irrational. I think fear that homosexuals will take over is irrational as it is unproved.
There's just we don't even have to say it's impossible, right? Because I don't think it's impossible, like logically speaking. It's definitely unlikely. There's no reason to think that it's more likely that straight people will cease to be straight, and then everyone else who is homosexual will just continue to exist. That's just crazy thought, right? There's no reason to believe in that. In fact, we have every other reason to not believe in that.
Yeah, the people that believe that we're all just gonna turn homosexuals or whatever, that seems like that's ignorance there. And then they're building their
Well, it
belief
seems like
system
it's
off that.
irrational. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, what I was saying is it sounds like it's stemming out of ignorance there. I don't even know any person on the average that believe that's even possible or that's how it works. Uh, I mean, if
I've met some
we,
individuals.
I mean, it goes back to like, are people are born homosexual? Is it natural?
Well, people have different reasons why they come to that conclusion. I don't think everyone who holds that conclusion has the same line of reasoning, but the reasoning is similar in the sense that it is irrational. And that's why that was my main point, is that there are people who hold this idea, at least I've met them, and that it's an irrational idea insofar as that there's no good evidence to believe it, but yet they believe it's true. So therefore, they are irrational people.
Because many people throw around the term homophobia or homophobic or homophobia, and they'll just use that term for people that just disagree or against something. Or like you guys were saying about the hatred, and I was like, why is phobia attached or exclusively attached to phobia or fear?
When you look at the definition, because words are often molded by the societies that they live in, that they're used in the modern day definition for homophobia is not what you read, or not what you said earlier about fear of homosexuals. That's not the modern day definition. Modern day definition is like what Jack was saying. There's a hatred or strong dislike for homosexuals. That's the modern day definition. That's the definition that will come, like the primary definition, if you just Google homophobia.
And then I asked a question to other individuals. I said, well, are there heterophobes? Is there heterophobia too? I think I
Probably,
I think
yeah,
I asked I think I asked an individual yesterday about. He said, yeah, there's heterophobes around. I'm like, what does that constitute? People are a fear of
it's just like,
heterosexuality. Essentially, that's like saying
yeah.
you're in the fear of surviving yourself.
I mean, yeah, that can also be something irrational. I think you're switching out the definitions though, so I probably just disagree with the definitions.
I mean, that's on the lines of what anorexia. When people are they want to be they have a disorder and where they can continue to receive proper nutrition, taking themselves out in that manner too. Hate of homosexuality exists obviously in many countries where gay people are attacked.
Interesting. I just seen this video. It was about a rapper named Dochi. She's gender fluid. She's a black female artist basically, and they were doing like this, I guess, Q&A thing. And somebody asked her, "What's a red flag in your partner?" And she wrote her answer on a whiteboard and she held it up, and her answer was straight men. Straight men are a red flag, which is kind of weird because she doesn't date straight men. So it's like, why? This is a weird answer because like your partners are never straight men, so why would that be a red flag in them? If that's that's not what you date. But I think that that is an example, like what you said, maybe heterophobia, at least defined differently, not a fear of straight men, but a dislike for straight men. I personally, I think it's fine. Like, I think people can dislike things, right? Everyone has preferences.
Yeah, I believe many people dislike things and fear has nothing to do with it. I think it's most likely a red herring to throw phobia in there. People don't really fear homosexuality.
I would say there are some. Again, I mean, I've met them, but I just don't think that that's the large population. I don't know what, to be honest, I don't know what else to say about this question. Does homophobia really exist? Yes, there are people who fear it. There are people who dislike it. Yeah, I think that's just obvious.
Yeah, I think you're saying
I'm
on
not
a
sure what else to
large
say.
prevalent scale, no. You say it exists in pockets, but it's not on average. People are not really fearing homosexuality. I mean,
I used to be a homophobe.
the average person is heterosexual, so what they really have to be fearful of?
I'll give you an example. My friend moved into a place, they had a basement suite, and it was a gay couple that upgraded, redid all the basement and everything. And I wouldn't use his bathroom because I thought they had cameras in there, and I didn't want them looking at me.
Oh, because they were gay, or just because?
Yes.
Let me
Yeah,
ask you.
Here's the person.
Yeah, let me ask the
What's
question. Let me ask the question. How well did you know them, the people?
I didn't know them at all.
Okay.
I just knew that they were gay because my friend said they were gay. After he said that, I wouldn't use it. I didn't use his bathroom before that, and after he said that, I wouldn't use it. And that's actually what broke me out of it because my friends laughed at me so hard for that, and I started to realize how ridiculous it was. Right?
But so, would you call that belief that you had irrational?
Fuck no. That's why they laughed at me.
No, I said irrational, not rational.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's why they laughed at me.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny.
But it made me realize how irrational it was.
But I can understand the rationale. It's not really extreme as maybe other people may think. Just on the fact that there's a little bit of a caution that you were throwing in there. I can understand why the thought came across your mind.
Yeah, and I never had any run-in with a gay person before that. Not that I know of, right?
Paul, what do you understand as being rational about his thought process?
Well, that's why I asked him, how well did you know them? So if you don't really know them, strangers, and then now you're thinking about this homosexuality thing, I can understand rationally why that came across his mind.
But he said he didn't fear them because they were strangers. He feared them because they were gay.
Well, I mean, if they were straight, if they were heterosexual, then he probably wouldn't have thought about the cameras. But I can still think of both of those two coinciding together.
How do those two coincide
Because
together?
Because of a trust issue. So in other words, hold on. In other words, you don't know somebody, so you already have your guard up. So now the homosexual element is there. Now that magnifies that guard times 100 or whatever.
Yeah, but that doesn't correspond because he said if they were straight in strangers, right, you wouldn't have thought that. But because they were gay in strangers, the symmetry breaker is their sexual orientation, not whether they were strangers.
Do you agree that the trust issue is still there though?
Because obviously.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Because they're gay, not because they're strangers. Do you agree with that part?
No. I'm saying the trust issue. I'm saying the trust issue is still there regardless. but because of the sexuality factor, the caution was magnified. I don't think you get that's what I'm saying.
No, I hear what you're saying.
All right,
that's
cool.
not what he said.
All right.
That's
Dude,
not what he said.
All right.
Yeah, if it was straight people that did it, like before any mention of them being gay, I would have had no issues using that bathroom at all. Wouldn't even have had thought enter my mind.
Wait, what?
So you
I'm talking about like what I used to be homophobic, Penguin.
But wait,
So
using what bathroom?
My friend rented a place, a basement suite, and it was a bath. I didn't use his bathroom because it was the gay people upstairs was the ones that renovated the suite, and I thought they might have a camera in there because it was a fucking stupid.
So
fucking
let me ask you, and
brother, what the fuck?
let me.
I know, dude. See, that's what my friends did to me, and that's how it broke free. Because I got laughed at, and I realized.
Let me ask you the question.
That's totally fucking ridiculous.
Hey,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are some gays out
hold
there
on,
that
hold
just
on,
fetish, but
hold
holy
on,
fuck, that is just
hold on.
what? What's
All right, no profanity in this channel. Is that cool?
Yeah, so that.
Okay,
no,
so
but,
the question I have is
okay, I get the point. I get your point.
the question I have is do you trust at that particular time? Did you actually trust total strangers over homosexuals?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that was kind of my first run-in. So I can't really say because I never had a run-in with them before. And I never even really met them. All that I had to go off was that they were gay, and that's what he told me.
Yeah, that's how I was too, to be fair. I used to be the same way.
Lucy Starfire, you wanted to talk about children transitioning. Is that right?
Hey, I'm trans.
The cute channel profile is not able to speak, so we have to acknowledge what the person puts down in the chat.
Alright.
What
you said you were trans, sorry, I can't see your name. Penguin? What? You said you were trans? You are trans?
Okay.
Yes.
Do you
mind if I ask, like, is it male to female, female to male? Yes, male, female, yes.
Okay, so he's saying that he thinks that children should be allowed to socially transition. Do you all agree with that?
Yes, socially transitioning, yes. That's perfectly fine.
What does that mean?
What does that mean exactly? Like they just
no physical operations, just
like no medical
and called by the gender they want, kind of thing.
Yeah.
From what age are we talking?
Any age.
So hypothetically, like a 3-year-old should be able to socially transition. Is that what you're asking?
If they were felt that way, yeah. I don't see any issues with that. There's no harm in putting on different clothes.
Okay, yeah, I would disagree with that.
What'd you disagree with?
Having very young children be able to socially transition.
So what's wrong with children wearing different clothes and being referred to by whatever they think their gender is?
Because young children are still growing, and especially at young ages like 3, they're still little idiots. I think they need to be probably at least 10 to 12 before they can do something like this without it affecting them some way mentally. Hey, I would just like to say that I just proved that I was an idiot until the age of 17. A homophobic idiot, right?
All you're doing is pushing the age up, I think, for him.
Well, I know. Yeah. I'm just saying.
No, but regardless of they're still growing, what's the harm done exactly? There's none. Like, there's literally no harm that could be done from the actions they're taking. Potential harm, at least in my opinion, I think that. In what way? Yeah, I'm gonna explain it. I'm not trying to offend you. Just keep on. I'm not offended, but what point? Because it's one of those.
no offense, but it's one of those things where it's like, why are people against it?
Okay, yeah, of course, that's a fair question. So, the potential harm with having a very young child, let's say hypothetically 3, is that children, I think, don't have a good grasp of what they really want, right? Nor do they have a good line of reason or the reasoning capabilities to see the outcome of their actions, right, in some in-depth way. So they will begin making actions, probably, I would say mutually, I'm not going to say mutually, but contradictory actions in terms of I want to be this or I want to be that, and I no longer want to be this and I no longer want to be that. And because of those actions, they're going to have consequences or reactions that might ground them in a conclusion that they might not have thought about nor wanted. So to avoid that, it just seems better to wait for them to become, to gain stronger reasoning ability, whether that's them no longer being a minor or just later in their childhood. I think that that's a better solution to avoiding those potential problems.
So first thing is, the contradicting thing is children. Yeah, that like all children do that as far as I know. Like, I mean, has anyone here wanted to be an astronaut when they were a kid and are never going to in their adult life? Yeah. I mean,
do you think it's a little different between being an astronaut and changing your gender? Do you think that's a little different, or do you think those things are the same?
It's a contradiction, as he's explaining to me.
Yeah, but it's a contradiction in regards to their identity, so that I don't think that's really
and
the point. But let also this, yes, just because there are many contradictions in a child's beliefs and actions does not mean it should be allowed even more.
Okay, but even then, like, what's the harm done? Because you're saying that
I just explained the harm.
But what's happening to them? Because you're just saying that they'll.
I literally just explained it.
You're saying that they would contradict themselves later, but what's the harm coming from that?
I literally just explained. What about this? And I'm not trying to come off as rude, but this is just to make sure that you're in good faith. Repeat what you think was my point in regards to the contradictions and the potential harm.
You're saying that the contradictions are bad and something that shouldn't be allowed, but what I'm saying is why.
I answered the why because I that's why I specifically used the word because. So I said this is the bad because, and then I explained it. Are you saying that you did not understand that, or you didn't hear it? Like,
maybe I didn't hear it, but I mean, all I'm saying is that it's like, where's the harm in saying you're one thing and then changing later? Unless you're like, I don't know, doing some fucked up shit or something like towards people or whatever.
Sure.
Or animals.
The harm is that they might develop desires as they continue to grow up in life that contradict their earlier established identity by them.
Yeah.
That would be a bad thing.
How is that why? You're not answering why that's a bad thing.
I'm giving you a very base level of why this is bad, right?
How is changing how you feel about something a bad thing?
Listen. They have a desire for a certain identity, but the identity they're being attributed by others is contradictory to that. That's bad because it contradicts their desire. A very base level understanding of something is bad.
Okay, if they say one thing and they're not, then they could be a hypocrite. But also, like, children do this all the time, regardless.
Look, brother, we already addressed this. Just because it's done a lot by children doesn't mean we should encourage them to do it.
It is a natural behavior of children, and honestly, I would say the same thing for a lot of adults as well.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I just think that that's a weird line of reasoning. It's like, hey, Tyree, I'm going to explain why. Your point seems to be, Tyree, bad things happen all the time. This is just another bad thing.
What's bad about it? You have yet to say what's bad about it.
Oh, I repeated it 3 times. I think the thing is
you're just saying that it's bad because it's bad. That they dare contradict themselves.
I've never used those words. I've never used it's bad because it's bad. Nor was that the essence of my point.
You didn't say it the way I did. But once again, you keep saying that they would contradict themselves. They would have different desires than what they believe they are. But again, this is something that all children do. I mean, who here hasn't wanted to be an astronaut when they were kids?
And what was my objection to that? Just not that you have to agree to it, but I'm just kind of curious if you're tracking. What was my objection to that, or response to that?
When did you object?
Okay, yeah, but I just don't think you're tracking. I think that's the problem.
What do you mean object? I mean, I thought we were just having like a discussion here, right?
Discussions can involve objections. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Yes, but what's your objection? I mean,
I don't know why you said. I thought we were having a discussion as though those are far from objections. That didn't even make sense.
Oh my god. So what's your objection again?
I repeated it 2 times. The second time I asked you to repeat it, you said you never made one, and you did this earlier when I said 3 times, by the way. This is the reasoning as to why I think it's bad that children at a very young age should not socially transition.
Okay, maybe I can help you too. So Tyree, maybe you can. This is annoying for you, but maybe restate it the 3rd time, but then immediately afterwards ask him to rephrase what you said, because then you can gauge if he's actually understanding.
Okay. The reason, what are you talking about? My objection?
Yeah, so state your objection, but then ask Penguin to rephrase what you're saying, because then he hears what your objection is immediately without anybody else speaking or any other sentence being spoken, and then he has to rephrase it, and then you can immediately gauge whether or not he understands, and Penguin should be able to remember your objection. This is literally the only thing he's heard.
Okay, Penguin, you said you don't think, well, insofar as I understand you, you said that children have contradictions all the time, or they kind of do contradictory things all the time. That's okay. It seems to be your point insofar as I understand it. My response to that was, I don't think that's a good level of reasoning. Just because children have contradictions or do contradictory things all the time does not mean that we should encourage more contradictory activities.
Okay, but you're not saying why that's bad though. Again,
we weren't even talking about that. That was a separate point.
No, I hear the objection, but the problem is you're still not explaining the question I'm asking, which is why that's bad.
Okay.
I would say adults would do this. Adults do this all the time too.
Even if adults did it, that wouldn't prove it to be more like that would make it better. I don't sure.
Okay, but you're saying that contradictions are bad.
That contradictions are bad, yeah.
Why?
Well, one, contradictions aren't true, but like from the context of the conversation, contradiction would be somebody desiring something, which is just to say that they're wanting something, and then the contradiction is the thing that they're receiving is not that, right? So the bad conclusion is the thing that they're wanting, they're not getting.
Can I ask you what is contradictory in this case?
I was explaining the potential badness, so this is not a necessary truth. But I don't even know if you were around for it earlier, but the conversation was, should young children have the ability to socially transition, so their gender identity? And I was saying, well, I think that there are some potential badness that can come about from doing that. One of the potentials that I highlighted is that children seem to want different things that sometimes are contradictory, and they do this very quick, one day they want this.
But what's contradictory about them wanting to affirm their gender? Are you saying that it's contradictory because they can't ever assume the gender that they want?
No, I pointed out that, so there's 2 things. Children lack the ability to reason well. So when they make a decision, they're not going to be able to have the foresight to see what the effects of that decision might be. down into the future, right? So they might be making a decision that they want in the moment, really on some grand scheme they don't want. But because actions have consequences, they are going to receive the consequences for those actions, such as perhaps choosing a certain identity that they just really wanted for a brief moment. And as they grow up, people are going to start addressing them as that, treating them as such, whatever that identity is, and they realize that they don't really want that. So now you have a contradiction because of some earlier a decision in their young childhood.
I disagree. I don't think that's necessarily contradictory because like
I never said necessary.
I feel like it's such a like hyper specific like scenario that could happen, but like I can think of like a million other things that also could happen too.
Well, Penguin, hang on, because you guys are misrepresenting what I just said. Tyler, I'm going to call you Tyler. Hopefully that's okay. And Penguin, Tyler, you said, I don't think that necessarily follows. Great, you agree.
No, I said I don't think it's contradictory.
Penguin said, Penguin said, yes, that could happen, but I don't think it will happen. Yes, that is my exact point.
No, that is not what I said. I did not say that it wouldn't happen or that it couldn't or that it will. It might. It's possible, but so could a lot of other things that also have that same chance.
Well, I'm also talking about something different, right? Like, I don't think that it's contradictory for somebody to have like an opinion on like what they want to identify as, and then to later change that because like when they make the change, like sure, like that's contradictory to like their earlier decision, but that when they made that decision in the current time, that wasn't contradictory to what they want. So when they make the decision to change that, there's no contradiction. They're just making a change in what they want.
Right. So I'm talking about the consequence of the earlier action, as opposed to rather as compared to their current feeling. That would be the contradiction. So, for example, if I currently feel like I do not want to be a girl, but people identify me as a girl, that would be a contradiction because it's happening at the same time in the same moment.
What if you go vice versa with it? What if you say that, like, people, let's say I'm currently, like, biologically a male and that people address me as, a man, right? And I decide that I want to identify as a woman. Would it be contradictory for people to address me as a man when I want to identify as a woman?
Wait, say that last part again, sorry?
Would it be contradictory for people to address me as a man, right? Because they just, go off like my biology, right? And they address me as such, even though I want to identify as a woman.
Yeah, so I think my position is that I think it would be fine in a later scenario when the person has grown or developed a better level of reasoning. Because I'm not objecting, and I don't know if you were here for this context, I'm not objecting to the idea overall, right? At least in this conversation. But I'm talking about small, very young children. That was the group of people that
Hey,
I think we all agree
Tyree.
that a child should at least be able to understand what a man and a woman is, and a 3-year-old cannot understand that. And then secondly, let's have the child talk to a therapist first to figure out what's going on.
Hey, Tyree, can you respond to this comment here? Give me your thoughts on it. Parents don't own their children. To argue the opposite is absurd. You see that there in the chat?
Alright, that's retarded.
Parents do not own their children. I agree with that.
Parents do not own their children.
Yeah, but this person is also saying earlier in the chat that children should be allowed to make decisions themselves, which is kind of retarded because children will literally eat glass if you let them. They'll put their hand on the stove.
I would say maybe some.
Yeah, bro, they think fucking children should turn from a boy into a fucking
parents
girl,
should have legal guardianship over their children to make like legal consent decisions for their children, like with like medical practices. I think that that's responsible.
I think that's.
Yeah, okay, but I feel like custody.
They think a fucking 5-year-old can consent to getting himself hormones.
Yeah, children will literally kill themselves.
Well, I definitely don't agree with that. No.
I mean, the objection is children.
Children don't know any better. That a 5-year-old should have some level of like authority when it comes to what they're saying about how they feel.
Yeah. The objection is children don't know any
Rather
better.
a fucking 5-year-old thinks he's
Children
Spider-Man,
don't
bro.
know
He's
any
gonna be
better.
fucking Spider-Man
Children
running around,
don't
bro.
know any better.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's gonna feed into
Children
that.
don't
That
know
person's
any better.
probably not gonna believe that for the rest of their
Children
life. But what
don't
I'm
know any
referring
better.
to is more like children can easily explain, like, oh, I have boo boo, like I need bandage or something like that. Like that is something that children are capable of.
Yeah,
but
the
that complex
objection.
reasoning, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's not, but it's also not complex of them to tell us, like, yeah, I feel sad all the time, or like that they feel like they're in the wrong body or something. And
Yeah.
that is where you bring them to a professional to assess what the problem is.
Yeah, the objection is that children don't know any
There
better.
is no problem. The kid doesn't know shit.
The objection is that children don't know any better.
He doesn't know how to properly convey his own emotions.
I mean, I think if a kid's
So how are
saying
you
they're
able
sad
to take
because
them
they
to a
don't feel
professional
like they're in the right
and
body,
convey
that
this?
is definitely a reason to go to the doctor. I don't know why that wouldn't be.
The objection is that children don't know any better, and you got to leave it to the parents to make ultimately the decisions for them. That's the objection.
I mean, in a way.
I agree with that. I think that if I think if the opposing side that doesn't think that children should receive gender affirming care believes that that's the case because children are just so stupid, then you should also believe it's the case that the parents should be the ones consenting for children because they are so stupid.
Well, it's up to the parents to decide that. Like the person mentioned about taking them to a professional, it's up to the parents to decide. But what the person in the chat is saying that it should leave it up to the children to make all those decisions, and that the children are equal partners to the parents.
No, definitely not. No.
Yeah, I think that the parents and doctors have more authority over what should be done.
Yeah, so I think we can all agree social positioning only when a child is able to understand what man or woman even means, and then have them go to a psychiatrist first. That seems.
Yeah, I think that children can make suggestions that the adults then follow up on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we solved it. We're all giga chats now.
Hell yeah, moral
We're all
based.
giga chats. I don't know if I can agree with this. Let me go ask my mom. Hang on.
Wait a minute.
She said no.
So Penguin, here's a question for you, okay? This because you said you're trans.
What's up?
I could probably Google this, but you're here now, so I'm just gonna ask you, put you on the spot. Why is it that there seem to be so many male to female transgenders and so few female to male transgenders? What's up with that?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, there definitely are, almost an equal number of trans men out there, whether people realize that or not. And this is backed up by data, by statistics. But I would say the difference, I mean, this is my own thing. I would say the difference lies with, how much more, trans men are, accepted by society and less, given a lot of shit and a lot of negativity.
Just a clarifying question. When you say trans, are you talking about physically transitioned or socially or all encompassing?
Well, let's assume taking estrogen or what's the other one? Testosterone.
Okay. With that clarification, Penguin, you're saying statistically there are more male male to female transitions as compared to female to male?
I think there's more. Yeah, I believe there is more trans women out there. There are more male to female transitions, but I do believe too that there is an almost equal number of male or female to male transitions. Yes.
Interesting.
Because I believe I don't remember the exact ratio on the top of my head. One second, I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, and it could be true, and it's just anecdotal. But I feel like all the trans people I meet online, it's 9 out of 10 are male to female, but maybe.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, I would say that there's definitely more I think a lot of trans women are more outspoken and attracted to certain things, but I mean, I could say that's a very individual thing though. But hang on, let me find.
And I also have a question. It might be kind of personal, so you don't have to answer it. But yeah.
found. Okay, I didn't know this, but I guess I found a study here that it says that number is decreasing. Because there used to be far more trans women, and this was something that was noted as early as the 90s. But since though there seems to be a decreasing, or not, that's the wrong word. The number of trans men that have came out is going up, and trans women has stayed the same, and it's equaling out.
Okay, interesting. Okay, Tyree, fire the personal question. Make it super personal.
Here's another one that says like 38%, 35%. What's up?
This is a personal question to you, Penguin, if you care to hear it out.
Yeah, what's up?
So, being a trans woman, do you think that trans women fundamentally distinct category than woman? Like, it's kind of like trans women are not real women thing. So, like when somebody says woman, do you think that that term picks out the same thing all the time in terms of its reference, or?
I don't know if this is personal, but I mean I would say that it is a category within woman itself, but I would say that because if you're gonna you can make it more specific just depending on how you're comparing it to other things there's different ethnicities, for example, that you would call type of woman, like Indian women or American women,
right,
or something like that. But no, but I mean I would say the same thing with trans and cis or other terms you would want to.
Do you refer to yourself as a trans woman or a woman?
I got a question. At what age did you realize that you were I guess not in the right body per se?
5.
5?
What the fuck?
This is pretty common. This is a common answer that I find. It's usually when I ask people at what age did you figure out you were gay or any of this stuff
Yeah, I mean if I found a 5-year-old or if somebody said they came out as gay when they were 5, I mean I would think a little bit on that one. I gotta be honest.
No, I've
heard you were
5. People always tell me I was born like this or something like that, or that they found out.
What would be the suspicion that raises Penguin if a 5-year-old said that I think I'm gay? What would be that problem? What would be the problem with that?
Well, okay, so I'm don't get me if I'm wrong, because I'm pretty sure we've all experienced puberty, but I thought we came to our sexualness in our puberty years.
Well, you can be attracted to someone in a non-sexual way. I feel you had crushes on people when you were in school, but you didn't necessarily think about fucking them. I guess maybe you thought.
I mean, I suppose that's true, but I mean, I don't know. It'd be weird. It's just something that when I hear it, it's huh? How would you know that at that age?
I don't know.
How do you even know what?
And I'll say too, I didn't when I was 5 years old. It wasn't I thought that I was what's the word? It wasn't I thought that I was a woman or that I was any different. More than I just had these feelings that didn't match with who I was then.
How do you know you were 5?
Oh well, I was really young and I remember dates. I mean.
That was actually what I was wondering. I sometimes, because I'm not saying you're lying, just to clarify, but I do think I do wonder about how often it is people misremember things about their past like that.
There are 2 things actually that make me confirm this. The first thing, hang on, let me.
Well, what grade were you in? And you just go based off that, right?
I was preschool.
Okay, so then whatever age range that kids are in preschool.
Yeah, but I feel even this clarification is kind of weird. Or maybe it's me personally, but when I think back with my personal memories of my childhood, I cannot connect a memory with a specific grade in school. I can be I guess ballpark it, but I can't just say, oh, this happened in the
You don't even have to do that.
No, I
You
can.
don't have to do that.
I mean,
certain schools only
here's how. Okay,
have certain ages.
it's just deductive reasoning. Like this is how I know that I was 5. So the first thing that I remember, because I don't remember I don't remember the date, but I know how to get to the date because one, that doctor's appointment is on my medical record, which I have access to, and as I'm looking at it right here in my hospital stuff, it says here December 13th of 2009. So
How old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
Hey, you're a child. What the fuck?
I'm 21 years old.
Oh, okay. I thought you were at least 20. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm 21.
Hey,
But no, but it's on my medical record. But also, like, you just do the math. I mean, just from like other things you would remember. I mean, that was before. That was like right after that was after the Great Recession. So I remember all the hardship that everybody was dealing with, even though I didn't know what caused it at the time.
Okay.
Hey, let me ask the question. Let me ask the question to Penguin Patriot. With your age and everything like that, people that might be older than you and have had deconversion therapy, they've changed their mind. What do you think about that?
I mean, all power to you if you want to. I don't really care personally. Um, I mean, like if somebody wants to do that, it doesn't bother me. I don't care. I mean, if that's your choice, like if that's what you want to do.
Well, also there's people that have regret rates for all different types of surgeries or whatnot, and I'm pretty sure the regret rate for transitioning is far lower than most other cosmetic.
It's very low, but like if somebody comes to that conclusion that they want to detransition, sure, go for it. Doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, why do you?
Here's
Why
a
do you?
personal question. Diary didn't ask one. What's happening to the penis? You're cutting it off or are you keeping it?
I have my penis and I'm keeping it.
Okay.
Why? Do you want to fuck? Is that way?
No. I'm just
What do you mean
curious.
Tyree didn't answer? That was not on my mind.
Because that's what I think every time I get asked this question. Is like, why do you need to know that?
Because I can't ask questions.
Okay.
Really? So if a random man just walked up to you and was like, "Do you have a penis? Do you want to cut it off? Do you want to keep it?" Like.
Well, I mean,
Okay, so.
Your question for a trans person, no, because regular people don't want to cut their dick.
I think that question is like.
How do you know that?
Reasonable.
They're crazy people. There are people that have their own opinions about whatever with their fucking dick.
Okay, yeah.
The question's pretty reasonable because
I don't think it's unreasonable. I'm just saying, like, I just don't understand this logic how that's like an appropriate.
That seems like you're saying it's unreasonable though, so that's why I'm confused about you.
No, I'm not saying it's unreasonable to ask somebody. It's just weird to me that people would always ask that. It's always like, it's just really weird to me.
Well, it seems to be interesting to me because it seems to be a common theme that trans women.
Yeah, but even before, I was trans, though,
can't get a word in. So.
Before I was trans, I was still saying the same thing though.
So.
And I have actually because men are.
So let me ask, Penguin. So are you only have you only socially transitioned, and that is as far as you're trying?
I have been on HRT for a very 2 years now.
I see.
So you're not going only but so far just to why you're not only going any further with the transition?
Yeah, why aren't you going to full?
Bottom surgery is a very high risk reward, high reward, and you can't go back on that. And truthfully, I don't have that bad of dysphoria where I want to do that or need to.
Okay. So you feel like the steps? What was it? HRT, correct?
Yeah, I'm on hormone replacement therapy. I have I take spironolactone every morning in a pill, and then I have these patches that have estradiol in them.
So you would say that those physical steps are sufficient to address your dysmorphia?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, dysphoria, not dysmorphia.
Okay, so why would
you don't necessarily need to cut your dick off to present as a woman, and
you can
comfortable as presenting as such.
You ever heard what the word tucking is?
Exactly. You do that. You just tuck it away.
No, I mean, I think that makes sense what you're saying. Like, you have a certain level of dysmorphia. There's certain things that you can do that are not dysphoria. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, I think that makes sense. I've heard of some cases where people go to the extent of, if you want to say, cutting off things, and still have a large sense of dysphoria. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's interesting.
Although honestly, I will say this, because like when I came out as trans, I mean, I'm sure a lot of other trans people would say this, even though they probably wouldn't acknowledge it. That no idea what the hell I was doing, but I did it, and I wasn't really sure for a while until I started HRT. Best decision of my life. Do not regret.
Okay.
Well, you're still in the work, so who knows what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I want to do a lot of things with life, so.
Interesting. Tyree's son.
I'm surprised nobody's looked at my profile yet and asked me the other thing on the on my profile that probably stands
Proud American trans. Going the commission route, United States Marine Corps, Eagle Scout. I heard the outdoors. I learned to let loose at friends, actor. Well, you got a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, Trump says no to you, buddy. So no.
No, I'm just shocked. Well, I'm gonna serve, and Trump's gonna be out of office. And let's face it, it's gonna be the next president's gonna be a Democrat.
Well, bold of you to assume he's leaving, but good luck.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, if he is, if he isn't leaving, then I'll be first in line for the rebellion. I mean,
Fuck yeah.
Is there like a policy against transgender?
I mean, I've always been quite supportive of 2A as as an amendment, but like, man, with Trump in power, more than ever, have me and a lot of the left, honestly, been so supportive of that.
Is there a current policy in place that prevents trans people
Yes.
from? Oh, okay, interesting.
Yes, Trump passed. So Obama, when Obama got into office back in his term, he reversed the ban that was in place since like the 1940s or something.
Is that like the don't ask, don't tell?
No. That's a different thing. That's for like gay service members.
I see.
Yeah, and yeah, that was so when Obama was in office, for how long he was in office, you could join as a trans person, and then when Trump got in office, he reversed the ban or the unbanning, and then you weren't allowed to serve, period, if you were trans. But if you were trans in the military already, like he couldn't do anything to you. He couldn't touch you.
Oh, okay. So this is about like newcomers.
And then when Biden got in office, he reversed the ban again, and you were allowed to serve if you were trans. And then Trump got in office again, and he has reversed the unban. And so yeah, I'm not allowed to serve. And actually, this time too, he took it a step further. Him and Hegseth, they took it a step further. And if you were trans and military at the time, you had either to voluntarily resign or be terminated.
Oh wow, interesting.
And so yeah, it amazes me that Trump and Hegseth are willing to go like, yeah, fuck you for all the service you put into this country, fuck you, and you're.
All right, folks, I'm leaving out of that. There's a good chance I'm not going to do any more of these because I stated in the voice channel as well as the 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 name of the channel. I said no profanity, and I'm not going to keep saying it over and over. There's clearly no respect. Uh, it's it when there's so many people in a room, it kind of gets unruly, and that I'm just not into that. So I don't really see myself doing any more of these voice channels except for maybe like a one-on-one, two-on-two, or something like that, where it's just more conditioned and structured. But several times people, they kept using it infrequently, but I can't stand for that anymore. That's the rule of the channel, and so I just the conversation is going all over the place anyway, and it's I'm not going to spend hours and hours like I don't have a life, just talking about whatever, and a lot of just idle talk. But just to reflect on some things earlier, I think the person by the name of Tyree agreed that homophobia doesn't really exist, at least not in a prevalent sense. And in regard to the person that claimed that he was homophobic, I don't know his rationale. The way he was describing the event, that he had a fear of being video camera or being on camera while using a bathroom or restroom. And basically, I was saying that when the rationale is if you're around strangers, you already are cautious and maybe having different thoughts going through your head, and it's not irrational. This was the person wasn't what he wasn't getting. It's not irrational to think that people that you don't know could be capable of these things. And then if you don't know if they have surveillance in there, you don't know them. You don't know if they have that in their bathroom. So that's not irrational to think. Period. The homosexual factor, yeah, that could just amplify it. So that's not even an argument. But it's 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 like the person could not get the rationale is that this person is going in an unknown environment. So that rationale is already there. So you got to you got to see that. You got to realize that. So people that are sane are rational. Now there are people that are because he was talking about there are people that will think irrationally, will have irrational thoughts or whatever. There's a difference between irrational and then people that just have a incomplete rationality where their rationale is short-sighted or they're falling short and they don't have a complete sound concept or thought process. But that's different from irrationality. That's why I kept saying there's something mentally off there. There's something that's a cause. So once more, I think I'm going to leave these. I'm not going to do these channels, at least not with multiple people like this, because now it's people just come in and take over. I can hardly get a word in edgewise. It might be better to have like a one-on-one, two-on-two type of a thing, and I'll probably do something like that as far as the future is concerned. And then I'm going to try to enforce the rule of no profanity. But clearly that wasn't being respected. It was infrequent, and then it's just consistent, and I really don't acknowledge that in my room, in my conversation. You can do that somewhere else. But the conversation has just started going all over the place and trying to interview a transgender and all like that. As you hear, the person was 21 years old. You know, don't hold your breath if this person later on in life wants to change up and decide, oh, this is not something I wanted to do. And then you hear the person saying, oh, I'm not going to transition any further. Then the question is, why you're not going to transition any further? What's there? What's the hesitation? Because you want to be sure about this thing, and you know that the regret factor is there. So I'm going to leave it at that. I had the person in the chat room from debateart.com going by the name of Lucy Starr, uh, shouting you out here in case you come across this video. Uh, I tried to include you in as much as possible, but the room, wasn't really paying much respect, not to my rules, or not even really to you. 'Cause I kept saying that, hey, you're not able to speak, and they really wouldn't acknowledge it too much. I had to keep running effort to include you in, because it's not my style to leave people out. I like to acknowledge people. So there you have it. The topic initially was, does homophobia really exist? And then also included uh, the other topic of what Lucy Starfire wanted to include in about children being able to transition socially, whatever, as children. And it looks like the majority of the room agree that the decision is not to be left to them at all. I believe Lucy Starfire position is that the decision should be left to the children. Okay, and it's very interesting now. As soon as I left the room, multiple people are leaving the room now. As soon as I leave the room, now multiple people are leaving the room because it's going all over the place. Yeah, they're leaving out. All right. Yeah. So now they're just changing up now. They're going to a different room, language and identity. Yeah. So clearly they want to have a different other discussion. All right. All right. So the person Tyree just he couldn't get some things that I was saying. That's just to be expected. But I think we agree about the children transitioning. All right, folks. So that's another one for the books. Again, if I continue on with this, I probably will have a very limited room, just so it can keep better order, control the room better. Uh, everybody talking at once, and then like the only way to get in there is to try to throw your voice in there. Keep talking, keep talking. Like I had to ask the several things. I said something several times over and over and over again. Things about giving me a headache. But yeah, these it just gets out of order having multiple individuals come in, and then you I put the title up. Does homophobia really exist? And then I adjusted the title to no profanity in capital letters. But because this is how people talk, and that's their lifestyle, that's their habit. So it's kind of hard to take direction. Like I said, no profanity. I wasn't gonna. If I gotta keep saying it over and over, either that's what it's gonna take, or it's not really gonna be acknowledged. And I think I have a feature on here where I could just start removing people. But if you're not like other people, they're probably not going to want to associate with you because people associate with who they can gravitate towards and who they share a comparison or share a connection or similarity or anything that's in comparison. Yeah, that the commonality and all like that that's shared. All right, so that is it.